Congratulations on making it past Phase 1 of Beta 7 recruitment. You will now be moving on to Phase 2, which will test you on recontainment. Now, I know a lot of you do not know how to recontain a single SCP, but this video will teach you how to recontain every single SCP as well as solo every single SCP. I will also be teaching you basic recontainment strategies as well as what the electro stun does and full site lockdown strategies. I recommend you watch this whole video, but if you're looking for a certain section or topic, benchmarks will be in the description. Before we start, I will be going over what is in your inventory as a Maz Hatter. You have 10 items: a honey badger, certified medkit, electro stun, the Omni keycard, the detain tool, the M4, the radio, the MTF card, solitary confinement tool, and a level 3 keycard, or if you're higher, you will have your level. I will be going over some things in your inventory as well. The Omni keycard. The Omni keycard can open pretty much anything in the facility, but I recommend you do not open Sector Bravo because that will result in a perm CE and blacklist from Mobile Task Force. The detain tool has rules. You may check them in the Code of Ethics handbook. Another thing you will have while wearing your morph is the SCP immunity. This will give you immunity against any SCP, which is pretty self-explanatory. You will not take any damage for 5 seconds, and when that timer runs out, you will not have immunity anymore. It takes 300 seconds to regen, so only use it when you need it. To recontain 049 is pretty simple. All you have to do is lead it to its containment chamber and make sure you have enough room to run to the door and close it before 049 gets out, like I'm doing right here. I close the door, and just in time, it closes in front of its face. Now we move on to 173. 173 is where most people mess up on because they don't know how to properly do it. I do recommend you use shift lock. If you don't know how to get that on, all you have to do is press the escape key, go to settings, and switch this to on. Once you do that, you have shift lock on. Now to recontain SCP-173, it's very simple. All you have to do is stand a decent distance away and turn on shift lock and just flick back and then forth, and then it will move like that. Make sure you're not that close, and once you get good at it, you can move while doing it like that. And all you have to do is close the doors and then radio it, and you're good. And that's how you recontain SCP-173. Recontaining 457 is pretty easy as well. I will be doing 457-K just because, yeah. But basically it's very similar to 049, but it's a little faster. But 457's tracking is messed up, so yeah, it makes it a little easier. So yeah, that's pretty much how you do it. Recontaining 1783 is the most annoying thing known to this foundation. It's so slow, and if it bites you, you die. So just want to make sure it doesn't touch you. Simple. But sometimes it can bite you in that small space. But whatever happens, happens. All you do is just get turned into cardboard and you just respawn. No biggie. Moving on to Sector 3 SCPs, I will be teaching you how to solo both of them with the Electro Stun. Also, how to duo them. For SCP-017, you can do it two ways, solo or with an operative. I will be having an operative assist me. As I walk into its closed containment chamber, my operative is right behind me. He will be going to the doors and controlling the doors. As you can see, right when I entered, with the SCP I was ready to exit to make sure I survived. That is key if you want to make it out of there alive. Recontaining SCP-017 is actually hard because it is in a small space. It doesn't have a big wall to get caught on. But right when you enter, you want to make sure you start looping around. And make sure, once you're ready, to go towards one of the sides, or right next to the door, and stun him. Then exit while hugging the wall that the side where 017 was stunned on. And it should be caught. I know that's not a good way of explaining it, but you'll see what I mean in a second. See? It wasn't that hard. Well, it didn't look like it. But once you try it during your phase 2, it will be hard. And then all you have to do is just come back up, close the doors. Oh my lord. There we go. And that's how you solo SCP-017. Recontaining 280, I will be showing you how to duo it first. My operative follows behind me as he goes to do doors, as I bring him down to his close containment chamber. My operative closes the doors and I slip out like butter. That's how easy it is to duo 280. To recontain 280, it's actually very simple. All you have to do is bring it to its closed containment chamber, do something very similar to what we did in 017, and boom. I recommend using shift lock, because that's how I slip out of that corner very smoothly, you know? So yeah, make sure to practice this as well, which this is basically how you recontain 060 as well. Moving on to Sector 4 SCPs, I'll be showing you how to recontain all three of the Sector 4 SCPs. Starting off with 352, I'll be teaching you how to solo it another way that I haven't showed you. But that's the only way I will be showing you, just because Soloing 352 is basically like 280, and doing 352 is basically like 280. So if you get that down, it should be pretty easy. To start off, you want to make sure that this gate is closed. The reason of this is because once you have the SCP behind you, you want to walk on this catwalk and jump in. Once you get good at it, you can finesse the SCP so it falls down, but you don't fall down. You will end up dying. This is for people who aren't good with the electro stun, but I recommend you use the stun if you can. Also, make sure this door is held open, Control E, and yeah, it's pretty simple. So I'll be showing you how it's done. As you can see there, I tried finessing the SCP, but I ended up pushing him in. I didn't take much damage, but it does work. But if you do want to recontain it, all you have to do is just jump in and it will follow you. But you end up dying, but at least you recontained it. That's all that matters. Soling 060 is the same as 280. All you have to do is use the electro stun. And boom, soloed. Now that you know how to recontain every single SCP, I'll now be going over full site lockdown strategies that you can use for real full site lockdowns and for your phase 2. During the full site lockdown, you always want to have your radio open. And once you do recontain an SCP, all you have to type in is /E and then your SCP that you recontained, which in this case would be 049, and then I'd say RC. The reason why you put /E is just because if you don't put /E, then you will be talking publicly, which is against oath of silence. So make sure you put /E so you're talking in the radio and not publicly. Communication is key in the mobile task forces. Knowing what sectors have been swept and what sectors need to be swept, the status on breaches, status on CDC, status in sewers, anywhere, is very important so you are aware what is going on site. With that being everything, I think you are ready to attend your phase 2. Make sure to practice and feel free to ask me for a private server if you can't get one. My DMs are always open. Make sure you do remember what to do during the full site lockdown and make sure to act mature as well, where you will be kicked for immaturity. Thank you guys for tuning in, and I will be ending this log now. Serve B7 with pride. I'll see you on site. Jaker Gamer, logging off.